Yeah, but I appreciate
I
you
have a
being
ton.
open to a spontaneous video.
Oh no, it's totally cool. All right, so it's a lot like music, and um, so the cool colors versus the warm colors.
Mm.
Um, okay, so I'll just start talking, and if you know this, you can tell me to
No,
skip
no.
over.
Okay, let's do this for everybody though. Like, let's say that they've never heard of spiral dynamics because I
Okay,
want to use my
sure.
channel to like introduce people to it and like
Yeah,
begin the like little tiny like intro foundation, then they can go out and gather more. So
definitely.
what's the very base? What is spiral dynamics? And then we can get into like, oh, it's these different colors, and this is what it means, and this is
Yes.
how it works. Okay.
Um,
I think the way I have been describing it, and tell me if I've got it right, if I've understood what spiral dynamics is that it is a framework for understanding our human needs and motivations and our personal values.
okay, it's more
Not
it's
human.
more it's more like worldviews.
Okay.
And it's like it's we the colors are like big broad categories. And so humans actually have to develop these on our own. You can't like try to persuade someone to think a certain color, and these colors correlate to different different worldviews.
Okay.
Okay, so it's like how someone sees the world. It's almost like a lens. I think the right way to interpret reality is.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay. Could you hold up the book real quick?
Yeah, the book is actually really helpful because you can like point to stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna use it.
So, well, it doesn't have all the. Oh yeah, it does have all the colors in it.
There's just beige all the way at the bottom, and then turquoise is right there, and then coral's like breaching. And I'm just getting to understand what coral is.
So how many levels are there?
Well, there's potentially an infinite number, but you can only understand, this is something I've found out to be true, is that you can only mentally comprehend a level if it's more than 2 levels above you, you can't comprehend it. But you can comprehend lower levels. And see, like, we'll get to each level in specific, but an example, like the easiest example is like the blue to turquoise representation. Blue, and a really easy example of blue is like Orthodox Christianity, and they see like this is like how the world is, like Jesus is our savior, and that's just how it is. And then they don't even like question it. And then they see like a stage turquoise being, and he's doing all his like yoga stuff or whatever, and the blue person sees it just as like, oh, that's just another religion, even though it's much more than that, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So could you go maybe one by one and give just like a 1 line or 2 line about what each stage is like? And also, I think it's important to preface this with, everybody goes through every single stage, don't they?
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, you have to go through the bottom ones to get to the top is what I'm saying. But you definitely, I mean, most people will not reach the higher levels. And
oh yeah, you can get stuck at a stage, and we'll talk about why that happens and stuff like that.
Okay.
So
cool.
we can just start with the let's just start with the colors. And it's like in the beginning there wasn't colors, there was just like numbers and stuff, but it's really nice to use color systems because then you can talk about like different color harmonics and stuff, oscillating between different people and societies. The thing about spiral dynamics that's different from like MBTI and other personalities is that spiral dynamics is like it's like individually or collectively appropriate to use. So you can say like California is like a sage green state mostly, or like this city is sage green with emerging red or something like that, or like different colors. You can't really do that with personality types. It's more like a one-on-one, like this person is this personality, kind of someone else might be this. You can't like group together mass amounts of people, or like businesses. You can't say like this business is blue, or this society is green or yellow or something like that. You can do that with spiral dynamics. So MBTI is good for like it's really good for like specific like I'm not even an expert on MBTI, but it's really good for like specific like maybe how you're brought up, or different personality types within you. This is good for like it's good for like understanding your own worldview, other people's worldview, and like a global worldview of how people, societies, businesses, states, countries think. That's a pretty bold claim, but so yeah, let's get through the colors. All right, so we all start at, how's this lighting? We all start at like beige. Beige is like the most it's the most survivalist stage you can get at. And now what I'm learning at turquoise, I'm kind of going off in tangent, but the more I get into turquoise, the more I see that spiral dynamics actually correct, but you can only be at turquoise to understand that. So anyway, so beige is like, okay, sorry, pause. Every time you go up the spiral, you oscillate between services versus service to others. Okay, and I'll tell you what that means. So beige is a warm color technically, and it's survival. It's like a deer is like beige. It just needs like food and water and shelter, and it just kind of cares about himself, maybe its family. And then, so let's say humans at beige, what would that look like? That'd look like a caveman basically, or like maybe some homeless people like living on the streets. They just need like food and water. They don't care about like yoga or like self-improvement or reading books. They just need like water and stuff to survive. And then
infants.
Yeah, infants, definitely. Like when you're a baby, you basically are at beige. But the rate of, like, everyone goes through these stages, like without question, but the rate at which you do depends largely on your living condition. And that's something I really learned. It's like the environment that you're surrounded yourself in is going to dictate where you are. And let's say like a country that you're living in is like largely green. You're going to go through these levels pretty quickly, and then you're going to stay at green, and you might get stuck at green for like many years. And then you might surge, if you're lucky, to yellow or other colors. All right, so continuing to beige. Beige is like survival. And then the main thing is that you either like die basically, or you have the realization that you can get more food if you work as a team. So that's where like tribes come in, like clans and like groups of like Native Indians or something like that. They kind of like work together, and they realize that they can get more food and they're more productive instead of just living it by themselves. And so now we oscillate from service to self versus service to other. I can't really see that too well. There you go. So it's like purple now. And since it's a cooler color, it's service to others, and that basically means like it's more like harmonious. Like there's no one tries to like fight and like win each other over. We try to like work as a team. Okay. So an example would be like, a very typical example would be I'm not going through this level very quickly.
It's okay. You can just move on. You don't have to give examples for each one. I mean, service to self and service to others, I think, is very self-explanatory. Competitive versus cooperative. There you go.
Yeah. And so then purple has the realization that like there needs to be a leader for this tribe. Okay, so I'm just gonna go quickly as fast as I can. There has to be a leader. And so you get like the head chiefman and or like a leader for the tribe, and this is like a dictator might like look like that. And all these have names. So the leader's like doing all this stuff, the dictator can do all this stuff, and it's very like service to self. Like he basically can do whatever he wants because there's no laws, and red just do it. We're at red right now. That's service to self. Red is like the most egocentric V meme. The levels are called V memes. And V meme is like a collection of memes. So red is like the most self-centered because it just like ego. because purple it just realized it has a self, like an ego.
Yeah.
Beige, it wasn't even aware. Like my dog, or like it doesn't even know it has an ego. It just kind of does its own thing.
It sounds like purple sounds like a 2-year-old to 3 years old. They're extremely
like
self-centered.
terrible twos.
Yeah. All about them at that age. Yeah.
Yeah. And so red, a typical example would be like a dictator, like just kind of ruthlessly doing whatever he wants. And then red comes to the realization that it meets like other red people, other red beings, and be like, oh, I don't like that about them. And it finds that he's doing the same thing, and he wants to like solve this cognitive dissonance. And so he transcends to blue, and blue is like blue is where like law and order comes in, and like, let's write some laws in stone and let's never break them. And if you do break them, these are consequences, like without question. Examples would be like religion, like laws, courts, I guess you could say like court systems. And then, so this is service to other. Blue
and
is.
Sounds like in blue, you're very compliant with the group.
Yeah, it's a service
you're
to
conforming to the group a lot.
Yeah. So blue is service to other because it's like a cool color. The red or the warm colors are like serve to self. So where does orange come in? Orange comes in when it's like you're working like the 9-to-5 job, and you're like, oh, I'm sick of this job. I don't want to wait till I'm 65 to retire and like live the good life, or like die and go to heaven to live the good life. I want to like live the good life now and like do what I want. Like now, like why wait? Like let's do what we want. So it's different from red in terms of like orange knows like law and order, but it still cares more about himself. And like so orange can like strategically manipulate the laws and order, laws and systems to kind of do what it wants without like being ruthless and like blowing up buildings like red does. Okay. And so orange is kind of like, example is like the stock market, or orange is like just like kind of corporate America, just kind of like entrepreneurship. Not saying like, and once we get to yellow, we realize that, I'll say this now, but we realize that like each stage is necessary. And like once you get to yellow, the goal isn't to like go to each stage and like get the highest. The goal is to have a healthy spiral. Okay.
Yeah, that makes
because
sense.
Yeah, because we need the whole spiral. And like, yeah, okay, we'll get to that later. Let's just finish the colors first.
I heard I thought that I was orange, and I'll be interested to hear how you explain the next ones, because orange was described as very focused on achievement.
Yeah.
And being the best. So.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
So where does green come in? Well, orange is down here, and it's like, I kind of like achieve the good life. Like I have nice houses, or like I have this sick car or whatever. But it's like not happy, and it doesn't know why. It's like, why I have all this stuff, but I'm still not happy inside. And so green is like, or orange is thinking like, why? And it realized that it's like, it needs to like open its emotions up a bit more, and like have like actual friends, to not like business partners where you're just kind of like competing, and you're just like, it's just kind of like you're just friends just for like the benefits that you can provide to each other.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Like you're just business partners. You're not actual friends. You're just partners. And so orange is like, I need some actual friends. I need some like love and peace and harmony. And like, I'm tired of like competing with everyone. So why can't we all just get along and not have to like compete like 8 hours a day? Does that make sense?
Yeah. See, the way I heard green described is that it's very focused on like social causes. And I'm
Yeah.
not sure if that's all necessarily true, or if this was just a very low level video that I watched, but it was talking about like how you'll get into like environmental causes and things, which I think could be true, but I don't know if that
Yeah.
necessarily always applies.
Yeah, actually, green is like the first level to care about its environment. Okay. So like this whole level, like blue, it's like, oh, fuck the environment. We'll die and go to heaven. The earth is, fine. Like, sorry, I swore.
It's fine. I
Orange. Okay. Orange is like, this is my business. Like, who cares about the river we're polluting? We're making money. And red is red. So,
yeah.
and then purple doesn't even have like a broad range of like, whoa, there's other tribes out there, So
Okay.
green is like, we're at green. It's service to other, and it's very like harmonized. It's focused on like relational values and like love and peace is kind of like the nice words. Like acceptance. You can throw at the first. This is the first level where it likes its same level.
Oh.
Let me explain. So like you throw two orange people in a room.
Yeah.
They won't like each other. They'll like see them as competitors. Okay. You throw two blue people in a room. They'll just see each other as like conflicting religions or like different countries. Like you're a Buddhist and I'm a Christian. Like that's how it is. That's how they'll see it. Red is just like they just hate each other. They don't really care about.
Yeah.
I'm like really skimming the surface of all
these
points.
I know. This is just an intro to get people interested in it and to like help me.
Yeah.
I've never gotten to talk to anybody about this. And the way you're describing green, like, oh, okay, like I get it now. Like maybe I am in that level. So this is really interesting and helpful.
Might be in between maybe, or
yeah.
So
whatever.
Yeah, so green, like the typical like your pure green is like if you're a hippie, like that's the typical like stage green, you're like hippies.
Yeah.
So and then these two levels, like yellow, we're not gonna get into coral.
No,
I mean we can't get into coral, but so yellow and turquoise are a bit different from the whole thing under because like it's called tier 2. And the authors Beck and Cohen, they describe this as like a monumentous leap in human evolution, because it's all this tier 2 stuff. What that means is like they don't try. You're in this tier 2 if you're like if you're not judging people, and you seek to understand them, and you're not trying to change their worldviews or change their like traits about them.
Oh, wow.
You're actually trying to integrate, include, and transcend, like how they call it. So yellow. What's the transition between green and yellow? So green is like, why can't we all just get along, and like, why can't we all just like chill out and just be like brothers and sisters and not have to compete? And it realized that like everyone under it is like the whole spiral. It realizes that like, oh, there's spiral. It starts studying like, since it's into human relations, it starts studying like people. That's where that's like a yellow is like very like different systems, different personality typing, different mental models, basically a bunch of systems within systems endlessly. And it's.
Are you there? Lost you. There you're back. Okay, good.
My internet just like crapped out for a second. That's weird.
All right. So yellow is integrating a lot of different systems for understanding people.
Yeah. So green is like, why can't we all just get along? And so it starts like why can't we just get along? Like, what's wrong with you, orange? What's wrong with you, blue? And it realizes that like, as much as green would like to move everyone else up to green, it's actually important that we keep the whole spiral, because like, imagine if I just like removed blue entirely from the system. That would mean that red moves right up to orange, and that could cause some definite conflict. Like
Okay.
without blue, there wouldn't be like laws or like anything anything like set in stone. There would just be like a lot of corruption. There wouldn't be like the service to other to balance out these two. It's very like the service to self and service to other, I feel like are almost related to like masculine and feminine in a way.
I find it just more like balancing self and tribe.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah, that's a
constantly the
good word.
balancing act between those two forces.
And so yellow, we talked about yellow is like a very mental a way of approaching how reality is. It's basically like different perspectives. And so like green sees like, oh, green has a different perspective than orange, and that's important. We need those different perspectives because we can't like run a efficient world with just one stage. We need like the whole progression. Ideally, we want everyone to get up to like the highest. We want everyone to get up to the highest stages that they want to, and the healthiest stage, because each stage can be healthy or unhealthy. Like each stage is not like good or bad. There's just healthy and unhealthy aspects of the stage.
Yeah.
So some people just don't like red. And I was like that for a while, and then I realized that like red is important, because like an unhealthy aspect of red would be like dictatorship, for example. Like I don't think that's very healthy. But a good one would be like, you need someone to like fight a dragon or something. Like red will gladly do that, because it's kind of like the hero. Like it will like it likes it definitely likes like status, and like I'm the best ever, and kind of like I'll be brave and I'll be the hero and stuff like that. The knight in shining armor. The orange will be like, let's just like find a system to like disrupt this whole thing. Or the orange might like, if there was a dragon or something. I'm going off a bit of a tangent, but the orange might like use the dragon to suit its business or something, like in a kind of like systematic way to slightly corrupt the dragon or whatever, like make a zoo for the dragon or something to make money. An example. Okay, so yellow, back at yellow. So you have all these mental maps and models, and you like kind of can see the world from a bunch of different perspectives. But you come to the realization that I maybe like a few months ago, that all these mental models don't actually lead to happiness. Like you think that you're like, oh, I got it, but then I'm like, okay, cool, now what?
Yeah.
And so it's like so yellow is kind of like in a service to self, because the previous one was green, which service to others, so service to self, but it's a bit like it's more reformed service to self. Okay. It can like still harmonize and still integrate, but it just like prefers to kind of do its own thing. And like it really values like natural ecosystems and not having to like, it values like effortlessness and like competency. And then the movement between orange to yellow to turquoise is kind of one I've just been getting into, and it deals with like, this is like integrative and this is like global. Okay, so it might be hard for listeners to comprehend this, because I sure couldn't tell the difference between green and turquoise when I was learning it, but now I'm starting to understand. Green is like it's like preschool for turquoise. Okay, because green is like, yeah, let's do like some yoga and like some like nice like mind stillness meditation, and turquoise is more like advanced yoga, energy cleansing, like definitely like psychic abilities, like using the pineal gland. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Oh yeah, I love that.
Like using the pineal gland to like access higher consciousness, like higher selves, like different beings, and like channel them through, because those beings have like a global, like a truly global, you can like see everything at once, like multidimensional perspectives, which is what coral is. That's what I think.
Okay.
But so turquoise is it starts to like do a lot of this energy work. It has to do with like energy fields around you, and that's when I'm starting to like learn it to the Merkaba. It's this, I made one right here. It's like this energy field that spins around your body, and it's for like higher ascension. What was that?
I've never heard of that before. It's called a Merkaba.
Yeah, like Merkaba, it actually means 3 different things. It's like vehicle, light, body.
And it's like it's like an aura. It's like your the energy that you're giving off.
Yeah, so like you could say there's the aura around you, around basically all living things has like a rainbow, or it's like a multi-dimensional aura. If you just like take this microphone, it has an aura, but it just won't change. So, and there's the aura, and then there's this this energy field. If you look at, maybe you can like put in a picture right now of Leonardo da Vinci's Canon. It's like this guy. It's like this picture of like a 6-legged guy whose arms are just like straight out, and there's a square around him, and then he's putting his hands like up like this.
Yeah.
And there's a circle around him, and that circle is that. I don't know if you heard me. That circle is we call that the Leonardo circle, but it's a great book if you want to get into turquoise. If you're at yellow and want to get into turquoise, is The Ancient Secret Flower of Life, volumes 1 and 2. Which is really cool. It talks about like the Merkaba. It basically like spins. There's like different, like this is the male tetrahedron, this is the female tetrahedron, and they spin opposite directions. They spin, and there's a lot. We could talk about that too. That's also really
that's
stuff.
fascinating. This is more stuff that I've never heard of. It's exciting.
Yeah. So the transition between yellow to turquoise is, it's like it's tired of like all this mental clutter. Like it's really nice to like understand someone from like a purely mental view, but it's like kind of tired. It wants to like return back to a more collective. So it's like it's still like tier 2, but it's like centered in the heart, and it's turns out that the heart is like infinitely more wise than the mind, because the mind is like polarized, 2 hemispheres. The heart is like unity, consciousness. So I'm not like an expert on, like with all these other stages, I could give you like tons of examples of like different examples within this stage. The best example I can give you from the transition between yellow to turquoise is Ram Dass. Ram Dass do you know who he is? He's like this yoga, he's kind of like a guru in a way, but he's definitely like, he was a hipster, and then he taught you at university, and then he's basically enlightened now. I'm not sure, I don't think he's still alive yet, or still alive, but he was teaching like psychology at a university, which is very yellow, and then he like took some psychedelics, and then he wanted to like, he just went all like guru stuff because he didn't want to depend on psychedelics to be enlightened. He met this like one, I forget his name, it's like Harmashi or something, Guru Harmashi, and he basically just meditated a ton in India, and he was like full on like enlightened guru, and I think that's really awesome. And so that was when he got into like turquoise. Turquoise is really interesting because it's like, you realize when you're at turquoise, you have so much work to do. Like you, it's like, I'm trying to think of an analogy.
Is it like
you're trying to like,
when
what?
Like the more you know, the more you realize you do not know, kind of a deal. So the higher you get in this stages of enlightenment, I guess, the more you realize you are unenlightened.
Yeah, it's like the more it's kind of like that. The more enlightened you are. So you don't have to be at stage, you don't have to be like enlightened. Enlightened is kind of like a vague term anyways.
Yeah.
but it's basically like I remember some guru said this, but you can measure your like level of enlightenment with the correlation of how much thoughts you have a day. So the less thoughts you have a day, the more enlightened you are, according to that idea.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, what were you saying?
No, have you ever heard like 95% of our thoughts are the same as they were the day before? And
yeah, I totally agree with that.
you don't know like what percentage it is, but you know, it makes sense. That sounds about correct when I think about what I think about, you know. But I think it's really fascinating that we as humans are so ignorant as to what goes on in the minds of others that we imagine that our minds are like this fascinating place, and then like other people's minds is just like boring drab stuff going on, and they're just simple and they're not even thinking. I'm thinking, they're not thinking, kind of a deal. But no matter what like your personality type is, we're thinking basically the same things. Like at least I'm guessing 90% of the time, like everybody thinks like, oh, I'm hungry now. What am I gonna make? Like, you know?
Yeah.
How many of the thoughts a day are like actually really interesting or novel or predicated?
Yeah, I totally agree. It's when you can like move into like yellow's like still in the mind, when you can move like your center, your consciousness. Some people's center of consciousness are like not even in their bodies, it's like out there, but like you can move your center of consciousness from your pineal gland to your heart, and there's this part, it's like the tiny space of the heart, and that's where you like put your awareness in, and then you can do like amazing things. Like Jesus was an example. He's like a good example of like stage turquoise being.
What do you do when you put your consciousness there? Then like what can happen?
Okay, so it's like really cool. You can, all right, so the guy, all right, there's, all right, so being like a tier 2 being, the whole goal is like to not blindly believe one person or like blindly believe that your world paradigm is right. So that being said, I've only been into turquoise a little bit, so I haven't had the opportunity to take as many different perspectives as I can of different stage turquoise beings. So right now I'm just reading from and learning this one turquoise being. His name is Drumbalo Melchizedek, and he's written those 2 books I mentioned about. He talks about a lot about the Merkaba, the spinning things, the field around you, a lot of like ancient history that's just like incredible to understand. He talks about the heart's like toroidal fields around the body, and the center of the field is the heart. There's like actually different chakra systems. There's like the 7 chakra system, and then there's the 13 chakra system. And so you can blah blah blah, you can do all this meditation, you can like get your consciousness to the center heart and inside the tiny space of the heart. From there you can like access the Akashic records, which is like the universe's history. You can access your higher self, which is like extremely valuable. It's basically you on like a higher level of existence, like literally you, but on a higher level of existence. So it knows you very well because you know yourself the best, I think. It has like all this like wisdom. There was, I don't know if you can, you can probably still look this up. It's the psychic kids in China, I believe. These kids are just like super psychic. They're super centered in their heart. Their pineal gland is like super cleansed. They can do like these incredible equations that would take supercomputers at least like a few minutes. They can just like look at the equation and start writing the number and it's completely right. Or they can like be blindfolded and someone will like read this page to me and they'll just read it exactly word for word because they can have all these psychic abilities. They can access the Akashic records, and they're just on like a really fast track to spiritual evolution. which is like when I say you're at turquoise, you're like, oh shit, I have so much work to do. There's so much I don't know. Like in terms of dimensional theory, we're just on like the third dimension. I need to like stop oscillating between the fourth and third dimension. Every time I die, I go to the fourth dimension, and then I kill myself, and then I go back to the third dimension because I'm so unaware of my thoughts that they create my reality instantly in the fourth dimension, and then I end up manifesting my fears and dying and killing and going back to the reincarnation cycle. Let's talk about, what are your thoughts?
You lost me there on that very last thing that you said. What do you mean? Are you talking about like the different going back and forth between a higher level and a lower level in spiral dynamics? Because you're like,
oh, that was kind of like
a reincarnation.
That had to do with like
something else.
Yeah, that had to do with like dimensional theory. Like we're right now on the third dimensional. Some say fourth dimensional, but the plane of existence, like the Earth. You know, I was kind of going off into turquoise land for a second and not like understanding like spiral dynamics is a orange or a yellow model.
Okay.
Like, the people who made it, they are yellow.
Ah.
So that kind of explains a lot. And so when you're at turquoise, this model kind of starts to break down. But you can only understand that if you're in between and at turquoise. And that's kind of why I've been like putting this Instagram thing on hold right now, because I don't want to like put out this things I don't actually agree with. But
what do you think about, could this system be integrated in terms of compatibility?
Yeah, that is a great thing to know. You basically definitely want to date someone or like have friends even in the same color.
That's what I figured. The same color compatibility is highest.
Yeah, or like maybe like +1 or minus a level.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to like be married to someone who's like blue and you're like at green approaching yellow. That just like you're gonna try to like change the other person, and there's all this different worldview. Like, this is how it is. And they're like, no, this is how it is, and so that's probably not gonna manifest good results.
I would guess if one person is like one level higher than the other, eventually they'll bring the other person up to their level.
Yeah. So, this is good. There's different movements. We mentioned levels within levels. Okay, so let's say I'm in orange and I want to move to green because I see the limits of orange. I'm like, I have all this money, but I'm not happy. So there's like the alpha, beta, what was it? Like alpha, beta, delta, and gamma levels. There's a great picture in here. And it basically, when you, perfect. All right, so you can like screenshot that or whatever. So let's say, so there's alpha, beta, and then there's the gamma. All right, so the alpha is like, this is great. I just discovered like being a hippie is cool, and like I know everything about life. And then let's stick with the green example. The beta condition is like, oh, people don't want to like work together as much as I want them to, or like, why can't we all just be hippies? Like things are getting a little shaky, and people can stay in each levels for like as long as they want. And so someone could stay in the beta condition for like as long, they could see this like problem happening where it's like, I want to stay in here, but why can't I go back to alpha fit? And that's because it's like, once you see something, you can't really unsee it. Example is like purple, like believes in like mythical creatures like Santa Claus or like the moon spirit or something like that. It's really interesting when you get to turquoise, like the correlation, but but it's like very like arbitrary. Like if I kill 3 cows and the moon's full, we'll have good crops in a week or something like that. like very little cause and effect smartness. So back to these late levels, the alpha, beta, and so the beta can either like revolt or reform. That's what it's. And so basically, if you're doing this work, you want to avoid the gamma trap as much as possible. And the gamma trap is like you're like really just stuck in one level and you can't do anything about it. Like let's say you're like Sage Blue and you're like teaching like Orthodox Christianity or something, but you like want to transcend that, but your job literally requires you to make money off of like doing that blue level work. You're kind of like in the gamma trap. And then you have this thing called the delta surge. So that's basically like where evolutionary change happens, and you transcend into the next, like, aha, this is how reality is. Next level of existence, just moving up a level. Yeah, that was a lot.
Okay, no, that makes sense. This has been fascinating. I don't want to continue on this path because I think it's long enough for like a brief introduction. But what's your Instagram handle?
Well, I have two. I just have my personal, and then I have this one where I teach spiral dynamics.
Yeah, that one.
It's just spiral_dynamics_.
Yeah, I've been following that page for a while. Ever since I discovered spiral dynamics, I was looking for it on Instagram, and there's not much out there.
There's nothing. I felt like an obligation that I had to do something, so I did.
Yeah, I think
there's just nothing on it, so
it really has big potential though to gain in popularity. We just have to spread the word about it. And it's something that I really want to integrate into the TypeMatch algorithm. I really want to make a test on spiral dynamics, but of course I am not enough of an expert to be able to do that. Now, do you think that could be done? Or do you think it would end up like with the problem that many MBTI tests have and being inaccurate in their results?
Well, there's always going to be errors if you have enough people involved. But
it's perfect as a test.
But I think, plus there's also like room for variation. I think it's a really good idea to incorporate this into another like personality type. That would be like really cool, and I'd love to see like more personality types, different theories coming together and like integrating each other, because that's like that's what yellow is all about, integration. Yeah, it would be really, really great. Yeah, I should totally do it.
Okay, I should do it. I don't know. It's going to take a while for me to learn enough about spiral dynamics in order to, build a test. But unless you want to build a test.
Well, there are tests out there, but I just really recommend just like literally get this book because it's by the authors. They wrote it. There's like half the book is like talking about all the stages and the stages within stages and numerous examples, and then the other half is like this thing they called like spiral wizardry, and that's how to like do stuff with spiral dynamics.
Oh, that's good.
Solve problems.
Yeah.
Not just like having all this like, oh, this is nice to know, but like, okay, there's a conflict in Africa. You have like a purple, and then you have like a blue colony, and they're clashing, and there's like different vocabulary terms for like regression or like transcension or something like that. Yeah, so it's really nice to know. Definitely get Spiral Dynamics by Don Beck and Christopher Cohen. It's like great. It's like all you need to know. There's more books out there, but it's like a handbook, almost like a Bible in a way.